Okay, this is something I had to ask you because I think of you all the time, as far as like your day job, right?
Yes.
And I go, wow.
I'm glad you know I have a day job. Everybody thinks I just cut ribbons and go to galas.
No.
So I'm glad you know I have
No,
a day
I know
job,
you have a
Jay.
day job and that phone never stops. It's always got to respond to something, right?
Yep.
But what would you say on your day job? What are the biggest challenges of running a town? What would you say would be the biggest challenges that you've, faced?
Yeah. So I left Genry, I retired
Right.
from Genry to pursue public service, I guess probably, 2013, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And even though I've been out of the private sector for that amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, I still struggle a little bit with the difference between the private sector and what's defined as success there, and the difference between what's defined as success in the public sector,
Right.
In the private sector, and you know this,
Yep.
you are rewarded for being strategic, right? You're rewarded for being ahead of the curve.
Yep.
Right? You're rewarded
Innovative.
for innovative.
Right,
You're rewarded
right.
for sort of seeing out over the edge and being
Visionary.
that guy or gal,
Right.
exactly, who's sort of, who's just, right, the visionary. Well, in the public sector,
Right.
that can look like you're spending money before anybody else is. You're not vetting your ideas properly.
Oh, gosh.
You don't have public support for your ideas, right? Right? Because democracy works differently.
It does.
Mm-hmm. It
You
does.
got to get buy-in. You got to get buy-in.
So you have to get buy-in, all of that. And so it's just, so I will say that's one thing that's hard about public service and being in a CEO position in public service.
Right.
Is really kind of flipping the script on definition of success.
Right.
But I will also, the other thing I would say is, again, difference between private and public sector. In private sector, you can state your priorities, right?
Right.
And you're held accountable to, knocking it out of the park on those priorities.
Right.
And you can clear your desk of everything else and go after those priorities as long as it's making money.
Exactly.
As long as it's adding revenue to the bottom line, right?
Right.
So in the public sector, I've got my priorities, but then I wake up and stuff happens.
Always.
Right?
It's almost like we set sail, but we had no idea there was a storm coming.
Right.
Right?
Right? And then people need to be saved in the storm.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And then other things need to be repaired after the storm.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So your priorities change. So you have to work really, really hard to stay focused on the things you say are your priority that you really feel strongly is going to take a community forward. And then make sure you also leave plenty of energy and intellectual time and firepower to take care of all that other stuff that just washes up to you.
Wow.
Right?